And a very good evening to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. It's a Friday evening, but doggone it, to tell you the honest truth, I couldn't tell you whether it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. Wow. This is taking a little while to get used to. It really, really is. Anyhow, good to see you all, folks. Thank you very much for joining us for final edition for the week. Yeah, final edition for the week. And I see here, I want you to take a look so that you know that I'm not alone tonight. Just hang on a sec. Let me pull this young man up. Take a look. See that? See that? See that? Did you just return from jogging, sir? I see a towel on your shoulder there. Did you just come back from jogging or what? Mr. Pitt, he's not hearing us. He's not hearing us. We're there, Mr. Pitt, we're there. Ah, and we're hearing him. Yeah, Mr. Pitt, Mr. Pitt, Mr. Pitt. We're going to have to get a collection going and get you some new headphones or maybe a speaker or something of that nature. It's not the first time we've seen that with Mr. Pitt, and still he's not hearing us. All right. Okay. We'll try and make do without him for the time being, but that will give us a chance to take a look at what we're going to get into this morning, and hopefully he will be able to resolve that issue. Okay, just let me check something here, make sure we're doing well as far as YouTube's concerned. Yeah, hang on. I think everything's okay on YouTube, isn't it? Yeah. Everything, yeah, there we go, there we go. Thank you very much. Theo Richards is up first this evening from rainy Pennsylvania. I'm only sorry that I can't send the rain down to Grenada. Well, hey, granted, Theo, we have not been having rain down here, at least in the southern part of the island. We have not been having rain, but I don't think anybody's really complaining. Maybe the farmers a little further up north are, but we certainly aren't. Now, let's get down to brass tacks, folks. Just before I get down to brass tacks, let me check with him again once more. Mr. Pitt, are you hearing me now? No. No, he's definitely not hearing us. He's definitely not hearing us. Okay. All right. Tonight, we're going to talk about the fact that schools will remain closed as we head into the Trinity term. Yes, sirree. That's the first bit of news we have for you. That's been around for a bit. But then, something a little bit more serious. PAHO, the Pan American Health Organization, is warning the Caribbean to prepare for the full COVID blast. That's another way of saying, folks, it ain't over. You hear about things subsiding and people talking about reopening borders and stuff like that. Not so fast. Well, at least according to PAHO. Then, to sort of confirm that, a release came in this afternoon, and I think I know why that release was put out, saying that our borders are going to remain closed. If I'm not mistaken, it was last night, we heard that American Airlines had started taking bookings, not just American, but apparently other airlines as well had opened up their reservation systems, and that they were accepting bookings for travel to Grenada. And we here, meaning toi, you, and moi, me, were wondering, hey, how come we ain't hear anything from, haven't heard anything from government? Well, today, government put out a release this afternoon that the airport's going to remain closed. And I'm going to share that release with you in just a wee bit. Then, assuming that we actually do eventually get to hear him, boy, you can tell he's disturbed. He keeps pointing at that air. He's disturbed, and I don't blame him. I would be disturbed too if I couldn't hear. He's not hearing. Yeah. I think you may be having the same problem that you had. Remember when you had to get your IT guy to come in? I'm not even hearing him now anymore. A little while ago, we were hearing him fiddling around with a set, but anyhow, and this I can say to you, there will not be an edition of the National Report tonight, and the reason for that is that there was a special sitting of the Senate today, and if I'm not mistaken, that might still be going on, you know. Hold on a sec here, let me check. Up until just a wee bit ago, that sitting was still in progress. Yep, they're still going at it down at wherever. Actually, it's up at the new Parliament building. Yeah, so there's not going to be a national report tonight. The guys are too busy doing that broadcast out there. Okay. Now, my dear friends, let's get started. Let's get started.
You hear me?
Now I can hear you. But can you hear me now?
You hear me, George?
Yes, sir. I'm hearing you now. Can you hear me? He's not hearing me, but I'm hearing him now. We know the problem is up there.
You hear me?
Yes, sir. I am hearing you.
I can't hear you.
Well, we figured that out. He can't, so he's going to have another sip of coffee. I hope it's just coffee. I hope it's just coffee.
Can't hear you.
I know. All right, Brian. Well, he can't hear me, so I'm trying to tell him to keep fiddling around. At least you got your voice up. Keep fiddling around, and you may
Can't hear you, George.
Yeah, I know that. Keep fiddling around, Brian, and you'll probably get through to us eventually. So, the Ministry of Education informs the general public that all schools in the state of Grenada will remain closed until further notice as we enter the 2019 Trinity term. Remote teaching and learning began on March 18th, with students remaining at home as a precautionary measure to avert the spread of COVID-19, and the ministry has decided that this will continue for the time being. Education Minister Emmeline Pear was scheduled to hold a media conference this afternoon, but that has now been rescheduled to 1:30 on Sunday afternoon. Okay? I imagine that's because of the sitting of the Senate. The conference is intended to, hold on a sec here. The conference is intended to further inform the nation on the current status of education in Grenada and the way forward. All right, so that's the part I had to tell you about education and the fact that the schools are going to remain closed for the time being anyway. Now, the other bit of information, one of the two other pieces of information I've got for you. PAHO. This one is kind of scary. The Pan American Health Organization Director and the World Health Organization Regional Director for the Americas, lady by the name of Dr. Carissa Etienne, says they neither anticipated nor were they prepared for the magnitude of the current COVID pandemic. She's also warning the region to prepare for a full blast within the next few weeks. She made the comment during a virtual press briefing this week on PAHO's response to the pandemic and the evolving situation of the virus in the Americas. ATN admitted that the rate and magnitude of the transmission surprised PAHO, although it began looking at it late last year. She said in November 2019, the organization felt it was time to review pandemic planning and called up emergency personnel to dig up pandemic plans. In the first week of December 2019, those plans were presented to an advisory group and PAHO's executive management. Noting it was difficult to predict the magnitude of the COVID-19 pandemic, she added, "This pandemic has really surpassed all of the others we have had in terms of its magnitude. I was also surprised by our inability to provide for the resources in terms of PPEs, personal protective equipment, masks, and tests, and the almost market failure concerning those required resources." She added, "We must act with urgency before the storm hits most of our countries to protect ourselves, families, and communities, and that in the short term, there is a dire need to expand ICU capacity in the region." ATN said, focusing on social distancing remain country's best bet for reducing transmission and slowing the spread of the virus. It prevents hospitals from being overwhelmed by too many sick people at the same time, and it also keeps doctors and nurses from having to make a terrible choice about which patients to receive care and which patients do not. ATN said economic activity could only return in full swing when people feel safe and confident that their governments are doing all that they can to protect them and their loved ones. She urged the leadership in our region to earn this confidence by being rigorous, evidence-driven, and transparent in the fight against the pandemic. Only by implementing the interventions required for each setting guided by science and solidarity, can we slow down and ultimately break the spread of COVID-19 in our region. Yes, sirree. That's a release from PAHO. They're concerned. They are concerned. And I don't think they minced any words about the possibility that we're going to have another strike of this thing sooner or later. Anyway, folks, you know what? We've been through a lot. We're going through this. And I'm sure it's not the last time we're going to get beat up on. But we're very resilient. Very resilient. Mr. Pitt, let me try again. Mr. Pitt, hello? Hello?
I'm here. Are you hearing me now?
I'm hearing you now. Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you. So maybe I came on the air before you did, George. That was the problem.
Hallelujah.
I was too early.
Now, you just wanted to wait until I got some of the serious stuff out of the way, didn't you?
Well, we're going to have to start over.
No. I'm just going to give you a tip-off. Let me tell you, We were talking about the fact that the schools are now going to remain closed, which is no surprise. And two, we were talking about the fact that PAHO has issued a warning that we should prepare for the full blast of COVID in the coming weeks. In other words, we ain't seen nothing yet. That's about it.
Yeah, but George, hold on, stick up in there.
Yeah.
Because you touch on two very important subjects.
Okay.
Let's take the easy one first.
All right.
That the schools would be out indefinitely. Yes?
Okay.
And it did say something about teaching and learning remotely. Yes, I missed the press conference this afternoon by the Minister of Education. I hope when we're talking about teaching
Hold on, Brian. You did not miss the press conference by the Minister of Education. Because of the special sitting of the Senate this afternoon, which, by the way, is still going on, that press conference has now been rescheduled to 1:30 on Sunday afternoon.
Okay. But if I remember the press release on your website, it spoke about teaching and learning remotely. Now, by that, I take it that we have instruments in the homes of all the kids in this country, and they all have access to internet and or Wi-Fi. Am I missing something here?
Well, Brian, if you seriously believe that, I stopped talking to you.
Yeah, but George, that's the only way we can have people teaching and people learning remotely. Yes?
Technically, yes.
So are we being babbled again?
Mr. Pitt, move on.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's move on. I find this PAHO notice interesting, George, because what PAHO did is talk about the region, the Caribbean and South America. If I read the release carefully, and I think I read it a couple of times, but how group Caribbean islands with, let's say, Venezuela. Now, the last time I was in Venezuela, the ghettos on the hillside overlooking Caracas was filled with people living almost on top of each other.
Yeah.
So I can't see any physical distancing happening there. So if there's a breakout at all in that ghetto, the spread in Venezuela is going to be huge. And I understand a lot of the other South American countries are having difficulty with the spread right now, and testing and tracing. So I am not sure if what's happening in the Caribbean could be measured by the PAHO's release.
Okay, I
We
see.
have had what 17. How many cases we've had now?
14.
14. We've had 14 cases. Now, mind you, we have not done the requisite testing. Given that we are now testing in Grenada, I believe we should be doing a lot more testing than we are doing right now. All the people on the front line, I don't know if they're being tested. I hope they have been. But the number of tests that we've carried out so far tells me that we have not included the people on the front line, nurses, doctors, and the police. Yes?
Yes.
So
Agreed.
all we seem to be doing so far is doing the tracing. So the person who initially spread this thing came from the UK, and we've tested all the people around that group of people. But I don't know that we are doing the requisite number of testing in order to get out of this lockdown that we're under.
Valid
Yes,
point.
George?
Valid point. You know.
So I don't know if I could take that PAHO release and decide that we should not open because of the PAHO release. When I say open, I mean get people back to work at George, because I believe there are Grenadians now who are suffering. If I follow the lines on the Carnage recently, from Western Union, on the Carnage and in St. George's, and in Lagoon Road from MoneyGram, and my theory is this, George: people wait in line from 7 o'clock in the morning to get to Western Union to collect some money, and with that money they go to Food Fair to shop. I'm not hearing you, George.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
So there's a correlation between people collecting money from Western Union and them shopping for food, which tells me that the sooner we can get people back to work, either daily paid workers and or weekly workers and or self-employed, and insist that physical distancing is part of the opening. For example, I don't see any reason why restaurants cannot open and only serve takeout. Yes? I believe, George, there is a growing fleet of young people doing takeout service in Grenada now. Before COVID-19, I could order a pizza from my favorite place in Grandance and have it delivered to me at home. So we can probably start a little business there by opening certain businesses, certain small businesses, without jeopardizing the spread of COVID-19.
Yeah. I'm listening because I'm coming at you. Go ahead.
Come at me.
Okay. First of all, Brian, yes, I saw the lines you were talking about yesterday. I was on the Carnage yesterday, so I saw, and we showed our viewers last night what they were like. That's one. Two, Brian, there is a very distinct difference between opening businesses and opening our borders. And that's a quandary that our government right now is faced with. I'm sure you heard yesterday, we talked a lot about this last night, the fact that airlines have started selling tickets back into Grenada.
But George, we're not talking about opening borders, all we're talking about opening businesses within Grenada. So we can go back to the state
I want
of
you
emergency.
to clarify that. I wanted you to clarify that. Thanks.
Yeah, no. We're not opening borders because you see, George, the United States of America right now is the epicenter of COVID-19. Whether Mr. Trump likes it or not, that's the epicenter. Where does American Airlines fly from? The United States of America, So I can't see us opening our borders for a little while longer, maybe until September, George, because once the SGU students start to come back in, we may have a problem.
But when you say a problem, you mean a reoccurrence?
Well, it all depends on, you see, one can argue that in the United States, the majority of states in the Midwest, the low populated areas, don't have as many cases as the high populated areas, i.e. New York, California, and New Orleans. But most of the students come from all over America. Yes?
Yeah.
So you can't say you're going to open for a part of America and not the other part of America, because let me tell you something. Let's take Amazon. You might have somebody from the Midwest managing an Amazon outlet, but you can have somebody working in the packing room from some part of the high density populated area. So you can spread the thing right there. So I can't see us opening our borders for a little while longer, George. However, that does not say we cannot open business in Grenada, especially those small businesses, the barbers, the salon people, the little restaurants that might employ 2 or 3 people. That's the opening I'm talking about, George.
And I certainly hope you would include in there the opening of banks, even though I've heard that starting next week,
Oh,
possibly banks are going to be open every day.
well,
Possibly.
listen, the banks have to open, George. The banks have to open. I mean, I think a lot of people in Grenada right now would probably argue that, listen, the banks don't care about the ordinary man, you know. Because a lot of us believe that once the ATM machine is functioning, that we don't need the bank. But there are a lot of people that don't have an ATM card. There are a lot of people that can't use an ATM card, that go to the bank religiously, maybe once a week or twice a week. A lot of pensioners from the UK or North America physically go to the bank to conduct their business. Yes, George?
You know, I'm so happy to hear you say that a lot of people don't even know how to use their ATM cards, because I have felt like a loner, a drifter in the wilderness. Yes, I do use my ATM regularly, but
Right.
I have been advocating that the banks need to do something about the level of customer service that they offer. And I was told by several people, including dear mutual friends of ours, that, George, you have to get used to it, man. The banks aren't going to be dealing with paper money anymore. Get used to doing business with your credit card. Eh? But there are a lot of people who just ain't that savvy and don't have any desire to become that savvy.
We make a lot of assumptions, George, about the people that live in this 132 square miles. A lot of assumptions. Do you know that the majority of communication that is done to the vast majority of this population in Grenada is by radio? Not internet, you know, not television. It's the simple radio. Yes? That reach the people in the back of wherever. Everybody has a little transistor. So radio personalities have to be careful, because they are very important in this whole recovery process, you know. Because they're the ones that get the message across. Not very many people look at the internet or have access to the internet. Yes? So we can't make those assumptions. The banks must open, and the sooner they can do it, the better.
Okay.
And not just for the 4 hours, eh?
Well, it's my understanding that, one, they're going to open 5 days a week. It's not confirmed. And two, they're going to open 9 to 1.
Well, I guess we have to be thankful for small mercies.
I guess so. All right. Brian, since we got going tonight, we have totally ignored our pilgrims. Do you mind if I take a minute and say hi?
Sure.
All right. Okay. Tio is in Pennsylvania tonight, Tio Richards. He says it's raining out there. John Noseyneck says, good evening. He says it's a delayed technical pit stop tonight. Yeah. Maria is saying howdy. Hi, Maria. And John says, BA also canceled my mate's return flight on May 2nd. See what I mean? So I guess the airlines have now heard that the government would have none of it. I mean, do you believe that the airlines actually went ahead and started selling tickets without talking with our authorities? Brian, do you believe that?
I saw something recently, George, that suggested that,
That may be the case.
and this was a celebrity that said words to the effect that America has the president it deserves. Because America, over the years, George, believed that they can dictate to almost anybody, everywhere, as they see fit. As a matter of fact, there's a very interesting movie many years ago called The Ugly American. It's a classic, George. The Ugly
I
American.
remember that.
Over the years, as a matter of fact, in the 2 terms of President Barack Obama, America started to look good in the eyes of the rest of the world. And I don't believe I'm biased in saying that. I believe that is a consensus. For wherever he traveled, he grew large crowds, and people appreciated his words of multilateralism. Not now. So maybe American felt, listen, there's a school in Grenada, and Grenada is totally dependent on the school. Actually, I don't know. I heard a figure like 20% of our GDP is SGU. So we can open without consulting anybody. So we must congratulate the government for putting their foot down. If they have so far, I believe the release said they have not had a conversation with anybody about opening. Yes?
Yes, technicality.
So maybe the conversation might come later.
Yeah. Let's put the cart before the horse. Okay. John says that apparently John was watching his sitting of the Senate today. He said it was like watching paint dry. Kipling, hello there, Kipling. He's saying good evening. John says it was raining up in Carriacou last night and early this morning. Well, I'm glad that you guys are getting some water. Hello, Ryan. And TF says, oh, by the way, geez, my goodness, how could I forget about Trinity? Trinity62 says night. Night to you too, Trini, and your coconut drops. Yeah, Theo says, did you bring a written excuse signed by your parents with regards to not being in class last evening? Brian, just in case you are not aware of this requirement, if for some reason one Friday you're not able to show up, we need to have an excuse signed by your mom, no less a person, okay?
Could that be my guardian? Because I'm an orphan.
You're an orphan.
My mom and my dad passed away, George. So, would my guardian suffice? My guardian?
I'll have to put that to a vote before the pilgrims. Well, what do you guys think? Okay.
But did you listen to Parliament?
Huh?
Did you listen to Parliament today? Did you listen to Prime Minister today?
No, I did not listen. I watched it while I was listening to something else. I did see people standing up and speaking, and a friend of mine who visited here, we were totally amused at how well dressed parliamentarians are today. You know, very, very spiffily, I mean spiffily dressed. Anyhow,
you know,
that's another story.
Yeah.
Trini responds to Theo by saying she has another engagement. Yeah, she has another engagement on Thursday nights. That's why she wasn't here last night. Okay. John says, I thought I heard it announced that 2 or 3 have been cleared during the Parliament broadcast today. 2 or 3 what have been cleared, John? Please, John?
I understand that we've had some recoveries.
You're just as bad, Brian.
No. I understand that there are about 5 or 6 people who have recovered from COVID-19.
Oh, from COVID.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, wow. That's great news. Sorry, John, I wasn't thinking that far ahead. But if that's so, hey, we're on the move, man. Trinity62 says, this airline ticketing thing. The airlines never stopped selling tickets. All they did was adjust the date. Tickets were available May 4th travel on JetBlue back in March. So I found that story to be misleading. That's a story that appeared social media this couple of days ago. Actually, yesterday, I think it was. Yeah. Okie dokie, I think, let's see here. John says, yep. Hold on. Ryan says, It was not a marketing gimmick. This is a moving target, and so they adjust based on what the conditions are, so that you could purchase the ticket. There would be no change or cancellation fees. I don't travel, don't know. John says, yep, they watch ticket sales to certain destinations and increase prices accordingly. Yeah, that one we know. Thanks, Trinity. I'm waiting for those coconut drops. Was that a virtual parliament? If not, did they practice physical distancing? No, it was not a virtual parliament. They were actually sitting in parliament. But yes, they were pretty damn far apart. They were pretty damn far apart. And I did see somebody commenting that they were not wearing their masks properly, and therefore they were setting a bad example by not wearing their mask properly, because some of them had their masks up on their head and some had them down around their throats. Okay. Ryan says, apparently parliamentarians had face masks on and Toby wasn't daunted. Oh, Brian, by the way, Toby is supposed to be joining us on Sunday, so be sure to tune in.
Okay, okay. Is he going to announce his senators?
I certainly hope so. I don't, I heard through the grapevine that one of the senators is currently involved with the SGU. I'm not sure if it's as a lecturer or professor or what. The only other thing I did hear is that he's going to get rid of Glennis Roberts. Hello?
Well, Mr. Tobias Clement has to appoint 3 senators, and I think it is his right, I believe, to get rid of the 3 people who are there that are not associated with the NNP. Almost everybody else is.
Okay. All right, Mr. Pitt, let me take a little break here, and please don't touch anything. Hey, when I come back, we want to be able to hear you, okay? So don't touch anything, please.
Wouldn't touch anything.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Coop Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy.
We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us
as we energize our Spice Island.
GrenLec, energizing our Grenada.
Conveniently located in the Grand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe.
Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair granadas will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Alrighty, folks, we are back with my guest, Mr. Brian Pitt. Mr. Pitt, in my anxiety to get to you just a little while ago, I neglected to mention here something from the RGPF. Apparently, police are now confirming the death of a 50-year-old resident of Coast Guard in St. Mark, whose body was discovered in Waltham yesterday. No other details have been provided by the police other than that an autopsy is pending to determine the cause of death. But you didn't hear about that one, did you?
No, I did not. No, I did not. What time was this? Did this happen?
No. You should know better than to ask me for details coming out of a police press release.
Okay.
Let me read it again, Brian, and you'll understand why I say what I said. Police are confirming the death of a 50-year-old resident of Coast Guard St. Mark, whose body was discovered in Waltham yesterday. No other details have been provided by the police other than that an autopsy is pending to determine the cause of death.
That's fair information. I mean, that's all we need to know right now, that the matter is under investigation.
That's it.
Yeah. George, you know, I want to talk a little bit about the Parliament sitting today, because there were some problems in my mind with this whole this whole proceedings. The first thing, George, it tells me that there must have been some legal issues with the original state of emergency that was declared by the government of Grenada. Did you get that impression?
Yes.
Because if you're now going to go to Parliament to do what you should have done in the first instance, and I believe that we discussed this at some point, that Barbados seemed to have gone the right way, in that Mayor Motley went to Parliament to get authorization. The least that they could have done is to say, listen, guys, we're sorry, but we made an error. But I guess that is not in governance protocol these days, to admit when you're wrong. Yes? The other thing, George, that jumped out at me is the Prime Minister seemed to take time off in presenting this emergency relief package for COVID-19 to take a swing at GRENADA. And I don't know what that had to do with the emergency package. Now, I would like to get some details about the arbitration result, you know, because I suspect that interest must be accruing on this monies that the government of Grenada has to pay GRENADA for the shares. Yes, George? The other thing I note that the government also took a shot at the NDC for signing the original agreement. Now, that statement reminded me of Trump. Let me tell you why I say that. Recently, Trump cannot have a rally in the United States because of COVID-19. But you know what he does every afternoon? He has a press conference and uses the mainstream media to propagandize whatever is in the back of his head for political reasons. I hope that is not what's happening in Parliament today. Because a lot of the issues surrounding GRENLEC that the government of Grenada has spout over time is incorrect as it relates to the cost of electricity. Another thing that jumped out at me, and I hope I'm wrong, but the Prime Minister went out of his way to criticize a certain economist for asking the question about the transformational fund. And if my memory serves me right, he gave a formula of how we can determine how much money is in the transformational fund. And I have a feeling that this economist that was being talked about was our dear Dr. Patrick Antoine. I hope I'm wrong. Because Patrick has asked the question. and as a matter of fact, he threw out a challenge to that economist to say, listen guys, stop talking this nonsense. If you want to get involved in politics, come into the arena. Did you hear that, George? Go back and listen to the proceedings today. When I heard that, I said to myself, I hope Patrick is listening, because he will have to make a decision on his future career, because he has an invitation to get involved in politics. Jeff, you see the shaking your head?
Yeah. Brian, out of frustration, I'm almost speechless. I'm sitting here listening to you and thinking, when this whole COVID thing has blown over, there's probably one thing I will remember more than any other. Yeah, I know people are scared. Yeah, I know the economy is hurting. Yeah, I know people are dying. But you know what's going to stick with me, Brian? How human beings, how low human beings charged with the governance of countries, millions of people, how low they could stoop at a time like this when their constituents are hurting. And it's not just here. You got these bozos here in Parliament politicizing everything, Brian, everything. But it's not just here. Today, I was watching CNN. A reporter asked Donald Trump about a grant that was apparently given to the city of Wuhan 3 years ago. You know what Trump's response was? Who was in government then? Oh, come on, Brian. How slimy can these scumbags get, Brian? Huh? It irks me.
Yeah, but George, but who is bringing this stuff out?
The
CNN.
The media.
The guy is using the mainstream media to propagandize all kinds of nonsense. And listen, yesterday I was looking for some news around 5 or 6 o'clock, and the only television station I could find that was not carrying Donald Trump was CBC Toronto. Even Al Jazeera was carrying this bloody speech that Trump was making. And I'm saying to myself, what is going on with the mainstream media? But George, this package, that relief package that passed through Parliament and the Senate today, there's been a lot of question about a $5 million line item and whether or not that would be used by parliamentarians for their constituents. And it occurred to me this might be an excellent opportunity for the social partners to put their hand up and say, listen, we are going to look after the implementation of this package. Put a staff together and you ask government, please, because your credibility is in question about how this money will be passed out to varying sectors, your credibility is in question because people believe that you will use the opportunity to hand money to your supporters. Let us handle it. Now, I doubt very much we're going to see that happening, George. But
Well, Brian, keep your ears open because I understand that there's been a discovery made about the way at least some of those funds will be dispersed. So eventually it's all going to break. It's all going to come out.
Yeah, but I don't know that it will make a difference, George. People are hurting, and if you get $1,000, you'll be thankful, irrespective of where it comes from.
Yeah.
Because in one breath, we were told a couple of weeks ago that we really don't know who the farmers are, we don't know who the fishermen are, we don't know who the vendors are, because there is no kind of registry. Yeah? I think I heard that on your website, that government was concerned about the disbursement of these funds because they were not sure who all these people are that's suffering. If you don't know 2 weeks ago, how come you know now?
They have suddenly become, what's the term? Hold on. Severely impacted, I think is the term.
Yeah, George, we live in interesting times.
Severely impacted. Oh boy, I've been severely impacted all my life. Okay, BP, break time. Hold on, don't go.
Hey, Lynn.
Hey, neighbor.
Here's the bill I asked you to pay for me.
How did you get your electricity bill to be so low?
For one, we size our transformers just for what we need. And we unplug transformers, chargers, and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LEDs.
They burn less energy, right?
Much less. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in.
And GRENADA is always advising us not to open the fridge too often.
That's right. And my family washes and irons in bulk.
With fuel prices changing all the time, how do you know if it is working?
We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased.
So while GRENADA can't control fuel prices, I can conserve energy and save money.
GRENADA, energizing our GRENADA.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Conveniently located in the Grand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granans will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep,
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
All right, Brian, I have a little note here that came in from the Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation. I know that you're involved in the tourism industry, so I'm sure this one's going to tickle your fancy a little bit. But just let me share a comment with you here from John. John says, BP, keeping the people wanting makes them easy to manipulate. You agree?
The politics of dependence, George.
The dependency syndrome.
And Caribbean politicians have perfected the art.
Yeah. And we are just too damned gullible.
I don't know whether it's gullible, George, or we find ourselves in need.
Brian, no. If you find yourself in need, you're putting your future in the hands of somebody else. Come on, get off your duff and do something.
All we have to hope, George, that the children of those people who are now dependent will recognize the importance of education, or their parents will recognize the importance of education, and make sure that they are properly educated to get out of this dependence syndrome. Because that is the only way they're going to get out, by educating themselves.
Yeah.
Where they can tell a politician, go to wherever.
But some people, Brian, just rather depend on getting a handout rather than trying to educate themselves.
Well, you have to present them an opportunity to, George. You have to present them an opportunity. And again, if we don't pay serious attention to our education system, then we are training people to be dependent. Yes?
Yeah.
Patrick raised a very important point at that little session we had there a couple of weeks back when he spoke about training people for export. There's nothing wrong with brain drain, because people that we train, let's say nurses, for example, if we had some of the best nurses in the world, I believe, some of the most dedicated people, teachers, we have some of the most dedicated teachers. If they can get a job outside of Grenada, it will open up an opportunity for another teacher or another nurse. Let them go. Because you know what's important when they're gone? Remittance. That's what we see coming in at Western Union and MoneyGram right now, George. And that is what's keeping the economy afloat as we go through this COVID-19 issue. Remittance.
Anyhow, Bradley Vespre agrees with that comment about, keeping the people wanting, making them easy to manipulate. And Isaac says the PM forgot to tell Parliament how he could have changed the sale deal with WRB years later when his party was in power, but he chose to do nothing.
He uses the pulpit and the microphone and the media to get his message to his people. He's not talking to you and I, George, because he knows we know the facts.
Yeah.
But he keeps distorting the facts for his own purpose. Now, he knows that at some point in time he's going to be in trouble with this Guddnite thing, unless he can find a rich Chinese partner to buy the company, yeah, and maybe take over Alan's shares and not pay Alan a cent.
Brian, let me tell you something. He may get away with it, get away from you, get away from Alan and the other shareholders. But let me tell you something. This guy has a and his cronies, they have a very rude awakening coming. Because the stuff that you and Alan and I and others can't handle, on our own, believe me, they're not going unseen by God.
But George, stick up it, because history will record, whether or not we like it or not, that the Honorable Prime Minister Keith Mitchell is the only politician in the West Indies to get 15 seats 3 times. So he is a perfect politician as far as West Indies history is concerned. So his legacy is there. Now, when he tries to improve on that legacy, he might make things worse. I listened to commentators recently who are saying that Trump's appearance at these press briefings might be working against him. Maybe it's about time Dr. Mitchell come clean with a lot of things to preserve his legacy, because the more he rants and raves these days, the bigger stain, I believe, he might be putting on his legacy.
You keep talking about this legacy. What legacy? Having won 15 seats 3 times? Is that something to be proud of?
But 20 years from now, George, when the political students, the political science students are reading the history of the Caribbean and Grenada, that will be in the books, whether we like it or not. And there might be a chapter, there might be a chapter that says, this is how you do it. Get the people as dependent as possible.
Yeah, all right.
Let's move on. Let's move on to something lighter.
Before my blood pressure goes too high, let me get back here to this statement from the Ministry of Tourism.
Okay.
The Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation reaffirms that the borders of Grenada remain closed to all incoming passenger traffic. You would recall that the Maurice Bishop International Airport was closed in March, and all approved traffic since then have been cargo flights bringing in goods and medical supplies, repatriation flights, repatriation flights to return persons from Grenada to their respective home countries, and medical evacuations, as announced previously. The closure of the airport is in keeping with government's decision to protect public health and safety during this pandemic. As you would recall, all confirmed cases of COVID-19 recorded in Grenada were imported or import-related. Therefore, the MBIA will remain closed to all incoming passenger traffic until such time that the government is reassured that it is safe to reopen. The level of misinformation that continues to be prevalent, especially in this period of crisis and heightened public sensitivity, is quite alarming. We cannot be expected to refute each reported inaccuracy, but in this case, it is important to reassure the citizens of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique that government continues to put the interest of this country and its people first. Therefore, to reiterate, there will be no resumption of flights until government makes an informed decision based on the advice of the health experts. We have done an excellent job over the last few weeks managing the potential spread of the virus and safeguarding public health and safety. No decisions will be taken that will endanger the lives of our people. The economic impact of the pandemic is quite widespread, and although many are eager to reclaim some sense of normalcy, actions cannot be premature, and consequences must be thoroughly examined. While we look forward to working with our international carriers and partners on making the tourism industry thrive again, as a government, we still maintain a very cautious approach with respect to the resumption of business. the ministry can confirm that a request was received from American Airlines to resume service to Grenada on May 7th, 2020, if the restrictions imposed as a result of the state of emergency are lifted. While the correspondence was acknowledged by the relevant authorities, there was no approval of the request because, quite frankly, any deliberation on the resumption of incoming passenger traffic is premature at this point. Again, the ministry assures the population that no approval has been granted for the operation of any passenger flight from any origin for any date in the near future. The reopening of Grenada's borders will be done only after broad-based consultation and on the advice of medical experts. Any announcement of this will come from an official government source. You get the final say, Mr. Pitt.
That's damage control. Okay, but I'm hearing that the request was made. Was the request made? Did you George? A request was made. So all you have to say is a request was made and denied. But again, we are using COVID-19 for purposes that is, I mean, you started by talking about propaganda. Am I right, George?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is propaganda? What are you talking about? But then again, you have to ask yourself the question, George, who is the chairman of the Grenada Board of Tourism?
Isn't that, first of all, it's not the Grenada Board of Tourism, it's the Grenada Tourism Authority.
Sorry, the Grenada Tourism. I've been in this thing so long,
Brenda Hood.
Yeah.
Brenda
okay.
Hood.
But it's a political operative. So this is damage control. All you have to say is that a request was made and denied because we're in a COVID situation and we would not open the border until it is absolutely necessary that we have this thing under control. End of statement. What is this 2-page document about? George,
Giving
come
George
on.
something to read.
Oh, giving George, okay, and I know George likes to read. Come on, Lord, I'm getting tired of the politics too, George.
Really?
Yeah. It's ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. What we should be concentrating on right now is how we're going to get people back to doing a job and getting paid, whether it's daily paid, contract, small business, whatever, because those are the people that are on the front line of employment, George. That doesn't have to do with open borders. It has to do with people doing gainfully employed. Somebody open a shop to sell roti and they will hire 2 people. That is what we have to be concentrating on. How soon can we get that done? Yes, George? Let's end on a happy note.
You go first.
I heard a release, George, which made me a little happy. In that the now chairman of selectors for Cricket West Indies, Roger Harper, is suggesting that the individual territories have more responsibility for developing talent, the cricketing talent in the Caribbean. If Roger is serious, then it will say that Cricket West Indies is going to channel some funds into the local associations to make them a little bit more independent so they're not just there to go to a test match or a meeting at Lord's and eat caviar and drink champagne, but that in fact they will promote cricket on all these islands at the grassroots level. If that is true, George, we are on the stage to recovery and we'll be winning again soon.
I love an optimist. I love an optimist. You know, you and Wood. Oh my gosh, you know Sharon Roberts.
Wilshire.
You know,
Yeah.
You guys,
Yeah.
you guys should come and have a discussion one of these days about when
But,
these.
but this is an excellent opportunity for us to get our things. We have time on our hands now, George, so we can plan for the recovery of West Indies cricket. Because I heard somebody mentioning recently, I think it was Bravo, that we're gonna win the next 2020 World Cup. Have faith, my boy.
Like I say, I love an optimist, man. I love an
George,
optimist.
just before we go.
Yeah.
Just before we go, let me put a major concern of mine on the table. What's going to happen to our overpopulated prisons and our overpopulated health hospital in this COVID-19 time? I don't hear the lawyers, George, talking about the possibility of an outbreak in the prison because of overpopulation. We are holding people there that are waiting bail, George. And until and unless somebody addresses this issue, we may have a problem in our hands, you know.
Yeah.
And the mental hospital in River Road, George, I understand is full to capacity. And we have to be careful about coming out of this COVID-19 situation, that the mental health of our country remains strong. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble.
You said you wanted to end on a high note?
Peace.
Piece. Brian, thank you very much, my friend. Good to see you, as always.
You're welcome, George. Have a good weekend.
Thank you very much, sir. And remember to join us on Sunday morning. We're talking food security. Got people
very good topic.
We got people joining us from Trinidad, Jamaica, Barbados, Africa, wherever, all over the place.
Fantastic. You know what I made recently, George?
Tell me. A mask.
A provision smoothie.
A provision smoothie.
Yes. Yam, tanya, blogger, fig, with some greens, and add some fruit to that, and it's excellent.
Really?
Provision was the base. Yep.
Well,
because what I don't like, George, I drink.
You see, that's a high note, and I'm going to have to counter that with an incident that happened to me today. A couple of weeks ago, Ray Roberts told me about a gentleman out in St. Patrick. You know, I thought this was a very creative person who was taking advantage of an opportunity that arose because of COVID. This guy started advertising on WhatsApp that he would be willing to deliver fruits and vegetables to you. All you had to do was place your order on WhatsApp. He would leave St. Patrick, find you wherever you are, and deliver. I found out about this a week ago this past Monday, and I called and I placed an order. I was told the order would be delivered on Saturday or Sunday. That's last weekend, okay? Never came. So on Monday, I tried to reach him and couldn't. But on Tuesday, he got a hold of me and apologized profusely. He said that he was actually on his way on Saturday, but along the way, he stopped to sell something to somebody on the side of the road. The neighbors found out, and everybody came out, and they bought out the guy. They just cleaned him out. So he had nothing to bring for me. That was last Saturday, okay? So on Sunday, he decided to have a second go at it. And one of his partners got arrested by the police for breaking the curfew. So hence the reason I had nothing. Now let me tell you what I ordered. I ordered 12 ears of corn. I ordered half a dozen sapodilla, a soursop, and some eggs, a dozen eggs. Well, guess what? This afternoon, he finally showed up with everything except the eggs, okay? Now, I'm a boiled corn fanatic. And my corn arrived, and the first thing I do, man, peel the stuff off, 6 of them, put them in a pot. Brian, when I went to eat these corns before coming on the air here tonight, I just about broke every tooth in my mouth. That thing, it was like eating marbles. Seriously, hard corn. But you know what? I have a great admiration because all the stuff I told you that I ordered only cost me $35. And the fact that this gentleman came all the way from St. Patrick, you know, I thought that was really industrious on his part. And I appreciated that.
Did you tell the guy, George, that you wanted corn to boil?
No.
You see, the man gave you corn for cuckoo. You have to be specific, George. I want corn to boil.
Okay. I'm learning.
Have a good weekend, George.
John says provision smoothies can be any combination depending on your taste, and they're healthy too.
Fantastic.
Theo says, Brian, don't sugarcoat it. We're too damn gullible. Okay. Thanks a lot, Brian. You have a good evening, sir.
Same to you. All the best.
All righty. There he goes, my dear friends, Mr. Brian Pitt. Now, 9:17, parting word from the Holy Scriptures. Romans chapter 7, verses 14 to 20. We know that the law is spiritual, but I am unspiritual, sold as a slave to sin. I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, that's what I do. And if I do what I do not want to do, I agree that the law is good. Okay? You're going to have to wait. Okay. As it is no longer I, myself, who do it, but it is the sin living in me. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is, in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. For I do not do the good that I want to do, but the evil that I do not want to do, this is what I keep on doing. Now, if I do what I do not want to do, it is no longer I who do it, but it is the sin living in me that does it. Romans chapter 7, 14 to 20. Boy, I sure hope that brings you a level of peace. First time I came across that passage years ago was like a load had been taken off my shoulders. Okie dokie dokie dokie, my dear friends. On that note, I'm going to say thank you to Mr. Pitt and thank you to every one of you for joining us on this Friday night. You got a weekend on your hands. The whole week seemed to me to have been like a weekend. Whatever you do, stay safe and give thanks. Give thanks. And so far, you have evaded Mr. Coronavirus or COVID, whatever his name is. God's brought you this far. He'll bring you the rest of the way as well. Join me on Sunday morning. Boy, we got a zinger on Sunday morning. We're expecting to have Tobias Clement, the new opposition leader. We're expecting to have this group that I mentioned a little while ago talking about food security. And who was the other one? There are three things we got lined up for Sunday. Just don't seem to be able to find the other one right now. Yeah, that will come up. Anyhow, tomorrow afternoon it's going to be put up on the GRENADABROADCAST.com website. Check it out. In the meantime, God bless you.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy.
We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us
as we energize our Spice Island.
Renlec, energizing our Grenada.